Hi, do you have old family photographs that you want to keep safe for future generations? Well, you're in the right place because we're going to be talking about how to store our family heirloom photographs safely. Hi, I'm Lisa Lisson with the blog Are You My Cousin, where I write about genealogy topics and try to take the overwhelm out of your genealogy research. Well, welcome. Before we get started on one of my favorite topics, which is old family photographs, I'd love for you to hit the subscribe button below. That way you won't miss any new videos that I post here on the Are You My Cousin YouTube channel. Typically, you're going to find those on Wednesdays and Fridays, and I hope you'll join me then. Okay, guys, let's talk old family photographs. We want to preserve those for future generations. And yes, they can be very fragile and they do require certain precautions being taken so that we can keep them safe and keep them from deteriorating more. I'm always surprised by what the photographs that have come into me through other family members, what they have survived over all the previous years, and I absolutely want to keep them safe. I have photographs that were actually stored in a barn in Virginia for well over 50 years, and I'm amazed that they actually survived. I just want to make sure they stay that way for another 50 years and absolutely beyond that. Okay, so let's get to our tips for that today. So the first thing to think about would be where to store these photographs, and you want to store them in a cool, dry place. That would not be a trunk in the barn in Virginia. Okay, but in a cool, dry place. And you want to avoid extreme heat or extreme cold for these photographs. You also want to avoid a very high humidity situation and a very low humidity type of situation. A high humidity situation actually encourages mold and that mildew to grow and to damage your photographs. That would be like your attic type thing. A low humidity, if you live in a very, very dry climate, it can tend to make those photographs dry out and become brittle over time. Keep your photographs out of direct sunlight. So if you actually display some of your original photographs up on a wall, if they're framed and up, you want to keep them out of direct sunlight so that they are not faded and not damaged that way. Okay, guys, and above all else, avoid those magnetic photo albums that we all had growing up when we stuck our photographs in there. If you have photographs that are in those, you need to get them out of that because those will fade and damage the photographs over time. And then certainly do not put your photographs into those types of albums. They are very detrimental to our precious photographs, so don't put those in there at all. Okay, so a couple other tips that I can give you with those. Those are the big things that you want to make sure that you do when it comes to protecting your family photographs. Now, some other things to think about. When you are putting them in a box and you're using archival, you want to use the best type of archival storage system that you can, whether that's sleeves, whether that's a box, whether it's wrapping them in tissue paper, that are all archival type of products. These products can be expensive, and sometimes you just have to, you kind of do them over time and kind of gather those supplies over time because they can be quite an investment if you try to do everything at once. But if you can, get the best that you can, you want them to be acid-free and ligand-free. I think I said that right. To protect those photographs so that they don't fade and don't deteriorate. But when you're putting them in the boxes that you are storing in their storage boxes, make sure you don't overstuff a box because that leads to photographs being torn and being folded or bended, that kind of thing. So you want to make sure you don't overstuff a box. If possible, if you can store like-sized photographs together so that they just will fit nicer. There will be less rubbing between them and less shifting around in the box, so there's less friction on them. And absolutely, when you are working with old photographs, make sure that your hands are oil-free and, of course, dirt-free. Make sure they're nice and clean. If possible, you can use the white cotton gloves. But absolutely, and make sure that your work surface is clean. These are kind of all common sense things, but you would be surprised what I've seen over the years and the types of damage I've seen to photographs. So it always helps to just kind of have the basics actually spoken, right? Now here's something that you can absolutely do because you really want to also protect your old family photos against any kind of catastrophic events such as a flood, such as a hurricane, such as a house fire. And what I do with this, and what a lot of the photo organizers will recommend, is I actually make sure I have all of my photographs, or I have digital copies of them, and I back them up in a few places. So I'll have the original photograph, which I've stored the best I can in archival safe type products and in a nice cool dry place like we talked about. But then when I have the digital, once I digitize them, I store them in a couple places. So I have an external hard drive that I store them on. I also use a thumb drive. I will put them on thumb drives and distribute those thumb drives to various people. So if it's of my maternal family, I'll send them to my cousins on that side of the family. If it's my paternal side of the family, I'll send those photographs on a thumb drive to those family members as well. So I keep those so I can get them out there. So should something happen to my copies, those copies are out there and somebody has them. So I do that as well. I also back up in the cloud. I use a couple ways. I use Google Drive, and I also use Dropbox for that. So, and there are lots of ways to do that out there for storing them in the cloud. But absolutely, that way, if they're in the cloud, should heaven forbid something happen and there's a fire or something, then the originals are lost. I still have the digital copies backed up. So once you do that, make sure you back them up in multiple places, and that way you are keeping those photos safe for future generations. There you have it, guys. Tips and tricks for keeping your old family photos safe and around for future generations to enjoy, as well as so that they are able to connect with their own family history as they come along. Have a great day, guys. Before you go, hit that subscribe button down below, and I will see you next time. Have a great day, guys. Bye.